Good day and welcome to Lifestyle League. I'm your host, Athama Fokate, and today I'm hosting none other than the Deputy Minister of the Department of Small Business Development. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Deputy Minister Jane Sithole. Hi, DM.
Hi. Yeah, it feels so good to be here.
Yeah, no, this is a madhouse. A lot of young people,
Yes,
but
yeah.
it's good.
Thank you.
We get to uncover a lot of things by sitting here in front of them because we also trying to educate them. It's not just about me and you chatting as well.
Yes, yeah.
So, DM, Jane Sithole, provincial leader,
Yes.
DA,
Yeah.
Mpumalanga.
Yes.
But who's Jane Sithole under general?
Yeah, Jane Sithole grew up in a rural village called Radikale in Limpopo. Ke ngwana Moloisi. Sithole is my husband's surname. So I grew up completely in Limpopo my whole childhood and teenage years. And then I started working in Mpumalanga in 1995, which is where I've built a home. Then, of course, now I work between Cape Town, Mpumalanga, KZN, and my husband is from KZN.
And how do you land in Mpumalanga?
At that time, I always say
Radikale is a rural area.
it's completely rural. In fact, at that time when I grew up, there was not even electricity. So
Yes.
completely rural. And I always say now, the odds are stacked against our young people now because they can't move out of university into employment. I moved straight out of an institution to ESCOM at that time, hiring us as graduates in training.
Yeah.
That was in
Now,
1995.
you're mentioning something, but that we should touch on later, the one of youth employment or employment under general, because we are facing a crisis as a country.
Yes.
But then you then went to Mpumalanga?
Yes, they were literally going to universities and recruiting at that point. And then I ended up at one of the branches.
ESCOM.
In
What are you doing in ESCOM? What did you study?
I was in the HR department, and at that time I ended up being the HR practitioner. As I said, we started as graduates in training, and then I moved into training and development and HR. And when I left ESCOM,
which year is that?
1995.
Okay.
I started in ESCOM in 1995. That was immediately after we've gotten our...
And then you stayed there for 18 years, apparently.
Yes, stayed 18 and a half.
18 and a half?
Yes.
As an HR person?
No, I moved. Oh, I moved a lot. So remember, I started in as a graduate in training. And when I left, I went through a lot of development, a lot of learning, a lot of growing. 18 years is too much to stay in one.
Yeah, yes. And in Mpumalanga, where though?
In Witbank, Emalahleni.
In the city?
Yeah.
From rural to the city?
Yes, actually, that was my first city life, kind of, yeah.
And then the qualifications, where did you end them?
Like now?
No. Wait, before you went, remember you said...
I was at the University of Pretoria, in Pretoria.
Oh, so
yes.
you were in Limpopo, you went to Pretoria,
and then they recruited us from there.
Oh, so you were now used to the big city. So it was easy to
not
adapt.
Really. You know, when you come back from the rural village and you cross all those toll gates, it's like you're going somewhere where no one has ever been.
Yes.
But and also because you're not the only one when you get to the institution, you tend to. But those that came from the township were always much smarter. I must also say you could really see. Oh, she comes from Soshanguve, comes from Mamelodi. They always knew. I mean, they knew there were movies we didn't know. Things like that, and they always seemed smarter, and they always seemed ahead of the pack. And but my rural upbringing then landed me there.
And were you the only child in the family?
No, we are. Initially, we were 11, although the ones that passed on before I was born, my mother told me. But my mother gave birth to 11 of us. Yeah. And so I wasn't the only child. Yeah.
We were 7 at some stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, so I grew up in a very big family.
So you work for ESCOM, and you ended up being a politician.
Yes.
How does that happen?
Yeah, and as life happened, and one time, we are talking, we are doing things, I meet people, and at that time there was Vision Active, and I think it was Health and Record Club.
Yes, it used to be
exactly.
What happened to Health and Record?
I don't know, by the way, and I met this lady who was telling me, at that time everybody just assumed everyone was following the ruling party, and she asked me if I can come and help her. You know, it was elections 1999, you know, and I was like, you know, I've always been approachable, and I was like, yeah, I'll come and help you, why not, you know, and help you as a party agent. Party agent is people that when you go to vote, you'll see them sitting there.
The ones that assist us.
Yeah, exactly, that they assist you. So, and then I was like, of course I'll come and help you, why not? And she was like surprised at the beginning because she thought I'm going to be like, no, you know. And I indeed went elections 1999, and she gave me books to read because she could see that I've got at least some qualification that I will understand what this party is about and what it stands for. So she gave me stuff to read. She gave me this to do and that to do, and I actually became a member. So I worked as a party agent in 1999, and 2000 I became a councillor in Emalasheni.
Wow.
Yes.
So you've never been into politics?
Never.
And then you walk straight into the DA?
Exactly. And then I joined a branch. Like when I became a party agent, I joined a branch, and then I became the branch chairperson where I was staying. And in 2000, a vacancy opened.
But then it was taboo to join the so-called white party.
I can even say more than taboo. It was taboo.
Yeah.
As you're putting it. Exactly. Exactly. It was like, what
you haven't been into politics?
Yeah.
And we all worship Tata Mandela.
Yes.
We say you need to follow what Tata Mandela says.
Exactly.
And then you decide you go
exactly
to a white party by then.
Exactly. So as I was reading through stuff, one thing that stuck with me was the fact that every country needs a strong opposition. So for democracy to work, we need a
strong... So that's how they sold it to you?
No, that's how I sold it to myself.
Okay.
Actually, they didn't have to sell anything. That's how they sold it to me, because I wasn't active in politics. I wasn't participating in politics. And at that time, the ruling party was really getting like 90% or an opposition. I think the second party was like, the gap was just like too much.
Huge.
And then I read about all these disadvantages.
If I'm not mistaken, at some point, the first elections, I think ANC got 2/3, if I'm not mistaken.
You know what? It was like high. It was like, and the second party was like 11%, if I'm not mistaken. But like the gap was like exactly, you know. And then I read about the dangers of one party getting all the power, and you know, you can even remove the names and just talk about the concept, the ideology of, you know, us giving power to one party and no strong opposition in that country. In this case, it was South Africa, because there wasn't at that time. There was no strong opposition.
Yes.
And if you want to participate in politics, joining the ANC was like just continuing, and because we all come from that background, where, you know, my sister was a councillor of the ANC, so that's the only party that we know, basically.
Wait a minute. Who did you vote for in that during that time?
No, we all voted for ANC.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Out of
that's why I was saying we were following
I don't even think we were thinking out of every
they voted. Say follow Mandela.
I'm telling you, all of us.
And with you, it might even be worse because it was the days of Peter Mugabe, so you had no choice.
You know what?
You had no choice.
But also, it was like normal. I mean, it was like, I think everybody
that's what
did.
I'm saying.
I really think everybody did vote for ANC. I think I can't imagine that anyone has gone to the polls actually and did not vote. I mean, that was the living life, the excitement,
freedom.
Exactly, you know, the highlight of a country, you know, and all of us went. No one had to ask you, actually. No one had to campaign. We just went and we knew what we needed to do, you know.
One question that I have, why is it important to have a strong opposition?
Yeah, you know what? Checks and balances are needed. And I think South Africans even now are realizing more and more, it doesn't matter who is in power, you need a strong opposition, because that keeps the democracy strong. That keeps the one who is in power in check. Like when power goes unchecked, as we have seen, I think now we've tasted it, we've experienced it. When power goes unchecked, when they say too much power corrupts, that's what they mean, because it goes unchecked, because no one is looking. You end up feeling like you can do what you want. You know, you're not held accountable. You're not responsible for it. You know, there's no consequences. There's no consequence management. And because the opposition was either weaker and because there was no strong opposition, so there was no way that I would have joined UDM or IFPU, or because there was no strong. In fact, the only party, because you remember the DA was also from the National Party and the Democratic Party also merged, and they seemed a bit stronger. So they said they were number 2. So they seemed, although they were far, like as in far from the ANC at that time, but they seemed like at least an opposition that might hold the ruling party accountable. And in fact, some people ask me, so if the DA was in power, you would have joined the ANC. I said, you know what, every power needs to be checked.
Either way.
Yeah, either way. I think we are learning that more and more every day, that every power needs to be checked. You leave it unchecked.
Now I'm starting to understand what I've always been doubting, that maybe the DA doesn't even need to be in power. They need to keep guard.
Everyone thinks so, but now they realize that for things to happen, we need to be in power, because power is the one that shifts things. Yes, but I think we played the vanguard for a very long time, to an extent that South Africans started to see the value, and hence we became, like, even now we're still the only party that's growing with a percentage that we are growing with, because South Africans started to realize that they need the vanguard, they need the guard to guard the power, and now they then realize that they need to neutralize the power so that certain things can stop. And also they now realize that they need to have someone else in power that will do something different, as we do have 38 municipalities that are run by the DA in a province.
You've been in politics for a very long time.
Exactly.
In a not so popular province and party.
Yes, yeah.
And why the patience? You've been so patient for a very long time. I mean, if you joined in 1999, you're about to be 30 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm more than 25 years with the party. And but from 1999 is, exactly.
And you've grown through the ranks.
And
I think you're the first female to lead
the province
in Mpumalanga for the DA, right?
Yeah, in Mpumalanga, yes, yeah. And I think when people, now when they use examples of people that have left and they compare them with me, they realize that the difference is that I started from being a branch chairperson and being a party agent and being a councillor in a local municipality, being a councillor in a district municipality, being a member of the provincial legislature, so they realize that when you are not convinced by someone, when you are not headhunted to come say, oh, you're so bright, will you come and be our mayor? You start there where you've convinced yourself. Because when I started, I never knew. Believe me, it would have been in my wildest dreams if I said one day I'll be sitting in this position. I actually thought, you know what? Yeah, we need to weaken this power. But maybe there around 2030, we can start to see it weakening. Okay, it happened a little bit faster. But the thing is, like, when you go, I feel like I convinced myself from the beginning. No one had to sit with me and say, yeah, you might, and also I'm not doing it out of being spiteful to the ANC or anybody. So I'm not angry. I didn't do it.
You're keeping check of power.
Exactly.
So that
exactly.
It's not too much for anybody.
Exactly. It's not revenge. It's not, because I find that people that leave that party and start swearing and insulting, they also find themselves, I think, maybe in those situations. Because it was really from myself to say, for the sake of us and our children, power needs to be checked. And when I read, I immediately aligned with DA values. I immediately aligned with what I read. What needs to be implemented in a country to move forward? What do we need to grow the economy? What do we need to make sure that everybody has got a dignity of a job? What do we need to do to attract investment? What do we need to do? So those things did resonate with me, And because politics is about ideology, I was the first one in the legislature, and in Mpumalanga, by the way, was one of the ANC stronghold in a big way. Yeah. And
used to be huge.
Exactly.
I mean, at some point, I think it was 80-something percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
At some point, it was.
They were 86%.
Yes,
yeah.
I remember.
Exactly.
I used to campaign there, so I know.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, and I also served with Didi Mabuza. So
yes.
He was my premier, for a very long time. So I was saying that the other day because I was in Colombia when he passed on, and I was like, that's one person that I would have loved to go to his funeral because he served. I served sort of like with him in the legislature, but. Then at that time, it was like when you convince yourself into something, basically no one can shake you because you know your why. As much as everybody thought I was lost, until now they can say I'm lost. And
but you're in a party that's less than 10%.
At that time, yes. I think it just in my municipality we were like 7%.
Yes.
Like when I started in Emalahleni, we were like 7 councillors. But because I served for 13 and a half years as a councillor. So when
what drives you?
When I left, we were like 13 councillors. So we kept on growing. And also, as you move, you start to see that, actually this wasn't it was the right decision.
Yes, it was not a mistake.
And I always say, because I'm in small business, so I always tell people that sometimes, you want to sell a product that actually nobody wants to buy. Actually, you come and say, hey, look, I want to enter this small business, and then I'm selling blue, and everybody's like, Leo, and then years go by, and then after 10 years, now, people start to realize that that's actually maybe the product that's actually sellable. And don't give up on that product, but I will be giving it to a real product. That, if someone discourages you on that idea, if someone discourages you on that product that you really want to develop or you want to do, trust yourself, trust your instinct, go with it. After 5 years, you might thank yourself. After 10 years, you might thank yourself. People that have become millionaires is because they implemented ideas that no one thought of at that time.
Yes.
And the resistance is not only from people around you, it's from your family, it's from, the resistance is just everywhere you go, because people think somehow you are lost, you are, how does this educated young girl doing there? It's like a something that you have to answer for yourself. Don't let other people decide whether it is the right thing to do or not.
You become a provincial leader in Mpumalanga in an area that's dominated by farms. How do you deal with all those white farm owners?
No, with me, even now, I implement that. My philosophy is you need to meet people where they are. Even now, as the deputy minister, they'll tell you, I'm in small business in squatter camps. I'm in small businesses in the streets. I'm with small businesses I meet people where they are. I meet farmers where they are. Don't try to be there and say, you there, you're doing 1, 2, 3, or you need to do 1, 2, 3, or the challenges that you're experiencing or your problems, because everybody wants to be listened to, because that validates what they are feeling, and I find that is how I'm able actually even to get along with everyone in around me, wherever I am. So the minute, I hear this and I hear that, and I realize that people, like even this morning, I went to a business before I came here. The first thing that they say is they have never, ever, ever had a minister or a deputy minister coming where they are. Because, it is just not done by our politicians, We get in office, and of course we sit in offices, and then we arrive with our blue lights, and people are there, and now there's a wall. You build a wall between you and the people, whether it's farmers, whether it's youth that is frustrated, whether it's people that are unemployed, whether those are the people that need you most, that you must be amongst them. Not just be amongst them, engage them, be with them. Show them that I grew up with nothing. I went to school barefoot just like them. Yes. So in me, they see themselves. So when it's farmers, that we've got such a complicated environment in Mpumalanga, I'm the first one to be there. And I'm the first one to be in the township as well. And I'm the first one to be in the squatter camp as well. And I'm the first one to be in the suburb. And that is why I'm able to really work with.
How important is it for a leader to be in touch with their masses? Because I always preach this to people, that you can't lead people that don't know who you are.
Exactly. I always feel like that is the first thing. And I feel like that's where most leaders lose it, One thing with the GNU is that I'm one person that I don't tell people which political party I come from. I come and I do my work, And then I get a message, we're so happy that now the comrades that we've deployed in government are coming back to us. I can't even tell this person that
that in fact, I'm not from that party.
Yeah. And I feel so sorry for them, because I am with them in Tembisa. I am with them in where they are. It's important that you can't be a leader. You can't lead yourself. So it's important that you connect with the people that have put you there.
But going to the last elections, you had no hope.
In terms of, you mean?
Of winning the elections.
Oh, yes, the DA.
Yes, but you were gunning to be a strong opposition.
Yes.
You had no hope of being in a government of national unity.
No, we had no dreams of that. We were like, we need to.
What did you guys have in mind going to that?
What we had in mind, because you can see when something is becoming weaker and weaker. what we had in mind, because our polling told us that we can't get 50% plus, we can't, we've got our own, that is very, very correct every election. So
but on one hand, it was showing that even the ANC is going to suffer.
Exactly, yeah, actually it was showing that they're going to suffer,
yes.
but the DA will not get 50%.
Yes.
So even if the ANC is going to suffer, the DA won't get 50%. So let's fight for growth, to be stronger. And if you look, even our slogan, we said a stronger DA can rescue South Africa. So we didn't say, that was our slogan going into these elections. So we were literally fighting for a stronger DA, you know, because we knew that 50 plus is not on the cards. Hence, the ANC is getting weaker. So we have to fight to grow.
And boom, the results come.
And
we are at Galaga. We're watching those results.
Yes, yeah.
And what goes through your mind then?
No, what goes through our minds is that, okay, in fact, I think all parties did suffer a loss,
yes.
and we increased a
apart
little
from
bit.
One that emerged from nowhere.
Yeah, apart from one that emerged from nowhere, and we increased a little bit. Like in Parliament, we increased with 3-4 seats, so it wasn't a huge increase, but at least we had a step up. And now, you know, because I serve on the highest structure of the party, which is FedEx, you know, so, you know, during that time we meet like every night, every morning, you know, now coming in the strategy now.
Because it's strategies on how to
exactly, now there it's coming. So what possibly is going to come out of this? What is going to come out? What is the most possible way? We also do polling regarding what our voters would want to see. And our polling is so correct and so quick that we follow that because we use evidence of what they give us. What would they like to see now with these results? As the ANC did not get 50%, and the majority of DA voters now, they said rather, they call it a coalition between the ANC and the DA.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what we were expecting.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, other options we also lay on the table. When you do polling, you don't give one option. You give all the other options. We remain in opposition, which we were also ready to do. If that is what was or that is what the polling said. Then we realized that, okay, now this is the direction that the country, and particularly our voters, because our polling is amongst those that voted for the DA, more than 80% of them says.
So do you approach the ANC or do they come to you?
What happened is then it started the talk. You know, the talk is out there before we could even talk. In our case, we've got Helen, who is the chairperson of Federal Council. She's the chairperson of Federal Council. Federal Council is the highest structure in the DA that makes decisions. So at that time now we have to decide. And because before into the elections, you would have heard John say, sorry, the EFF is the number one enemy, and so you can't move then after and say, so we then knew that option is out. So should the ANC decide that they are going with the EFF, we're ready to take the opposition bench.
At that point, do you have any ideas where you're going to end? I mean, you are in your province.
No,
you are more concerned about Mpumalanga issues.
Exactly. In fact, I was happy in Mpumalanga. I doubled the seats because we had 3 members. Now we've got 6. You know, so I'm celebrating my results at that time.
You don't even care about national.
Exactly. I don't even care. I'm like, yo, you know what? Yeah. And people are saying, yo, Mam Jane, you worked, because they call me Mam Jane everywhere. Yo, Mam Jane, we saw you worked. Yo, you know, we're celebrating. We're just happy that, you know, we are growing. For us, that is massive, to double the seats, you know. So, and I was like, yo, which means that all those people that were saying, Mam Jane, we're going to vote, they meant it, you know. I really need to thank them. And then we get a call that now FedEx is that now ANC wants to negotiate, and let's go and hear. So we put a team together. We've put a team together. We decide.
But you're not part of that team.
No, I'm not part of that team at all. We put a team together led by Helen. John can be part of that team because he's directly affected. So in terms of the negotiations, you know, you can't actually go and negotiate your own negotiation, you know. So then Helen and the team went, and Figile and the team, also they put a team on that side. And yeah, then the discussion started. Ooh, but that was the beginning of a long.
I remember how long it took.
It was, believe me, it was the most.
The inauguration got postponed at some point.
I'm telling you, it was the most complicated negotiation that even Helen was there during the CODESA negotiations. Helen ran
She's
the
been
first,
there
yeah, she
ever
ran the
since.
first coalition in the city
I think
of
there was
Cape Town.
DP, right?
And yeah,
Was it
and,
DP?
exactly,
Democratic Party, yes.
yeah. And I'm telling you, it was like every night we were not sleeping, because now we're moving back to having meetings 2 o'clock in the morning. We're moving to what about this? What about that one? What about this? And then now they're saying this. Then on the other side, they're also doing the same, you know. And then it came to a point where it's starting to shape. And then when it started to shape, it got stuck where we said, okay, we've got 22%, which means we must get 22% of the positions. You know? Yeah, and then it gets stuck there. And we're moving back and forth. Okay, at the end of the day, we bring sense to the table. Some people are angry that we got less because we've got 22%. So we should have 22% of cabinet seats. And we also said we want to show...
But because you guys were gunning for a coalition.
Because
which all of us thought was going to
be. Exactly, yeah. And also we have to show South Africans that we're doing this in good faith. As much as you cannot do it without a position, but it's not all about that we will tank the whole thing because we're not getting 22% of the positions, you know. So... And also we give the ministries that we would really like to make an impact there, you know, which one of them was transport, because, you know, yeah, we wanted to bring rail back, and we all have our own plans, you know, how we're going to do it, you know. So there were other ministries that then I think we also took a chance and put the police in there. And we know President can give away the police, but, you know, we thought maybe he might, you know, and that time we wanted it so bad, you know.
Of those that you wanted, which ones did you get?
Yeah, we got almost for the ministries.
It's
we got
agriculture,
4.
yes?
Yeah, yes, agriculture. Yes. I wasn't good. And by the way, there were talks that John wanted to be deputy president. We never went. Yeah. We never asked for that, and we never put it on the table because not to say anything against the deputy president, but we feel that role is more ceremonial, and so the DA never wanted it. Yeah. So, but you know, newspapers write everything, and we were looking for portfolios where we know we can make an impact, and we got some. And then, we didn't get some, and we said, okay. And then the president then started to divide some, like, you know, with 2 deputies, and he added this and he added that. The cabinet had to grow.
And your name is announced there.
And then my name is announced. And then this thing come, and then I'm also part of it. And then I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm still dreaming. And now everyone is calling like, did the president just mention your name?
But I'm sure you know before.
Yes, exactly.
Because he calls you before.
Yeah, it does. No, actually, your own leader calls you before.
Okay, before the president calls.
Yes, your own leader calls you before, you know. So, you know, but like it's still rolling in your head.
Because it might change.
Yeah, exactly. This is happening so quick as well, and it's happening so fast. And also remember, I wasn't in Parliament. I wasn't in Cape Town. I was serving in the legislature. Amongst the DA cabinet, I'm the only one that came from the legislature. They've all been serving there.
I was about to ask you
that. They've all been serving there.
How did you make it coming from a province straight into national
because of the work
government?
That, look, as I tell you, in Mpumalanga, I doubled the DA seats. Yeah, so when that is, for me, it's a typical your work speaking for you, you know.
And it also has to motivate others in provinces that if you work extra harder, this is where you might end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, there were some of my family members that really just said...
But when they announce your name, what do you say? Do you scream?
No, you
hug your kids, what do you do?
You just freeze a little bit and think, you know, it becomes a bit of a dream for a few minutes, you know, and a few while, and a few, and you know, you wake up and then you can't sleep and you're thinking, oh, maybe it's still gonna change. And I don't know, maybe
pinching yourself.
Because like the president changes things several times as well. Maybe, you know, he might wake up thinking something else, you know, and then it went, and then now from that moment, my head of office actually called me, who is here today, and said, we come in. She said, no, you know, don't do it, because now they're calling us to go to Pretoria. And, you know, me being me, I've never been in government. I'm getting my car ready, you know, and I'm like, hey, we're going to spin to Pretoria now. Apparently, we must go to Pretoria. And I'm thinking, I'm not in a good state of mind to actually drive, because the excitement is just too much. But then the call came and said, no, like, we're coming to fetch you. Now we're going to Pretoria.
Oh, by the way, you're now a DM.
Yeah, now
they're coming to fetch you.
Exactly. Now you're coming to fetch me? Okay.
What's happening now?
Life just changes like that. And then I'm like, now they're coming to fetch me. And everything was history, as they said, you know, and then it was done, you know, it was done. And and then Being sworn in was much more emotional. Remember, you were being sworn in as a member of parliament.
Yes.
That was like, okay. But being sworn in as the deputy minister, you know, looking where we come from, myself looking where I come from, and also in an unpopular party then, and where we are, it was just so emotional. Everything came down to that moment.
But you said something very interesting. You said you looked at the deputy presidency role as ceremonial. But then here you are celebrating being a deputy minister.
Exactly.
What makes you celebrate? For you, any small victory means something.
I wanted to say that when you're not in government, there's certain things that you don't know.
Yes.
You know, before, I would have also said we don't need, in fact, I think I might have said it before, that we don't need deputy ministers.
Yes.
Because
in fact, you guys used to say they're not
outside,
necessary.
Yes. You don't realize how much.
The amount of work.
I'm telling you, even now, I haven't slept, I don't know for how many days. You know, so it's like, you know, it's like saying things from outside.
And that time, Dear used to say, we need to scrap this deputy roles. I remember you guys used to say.
And I will ask me, I'll even ask a deputy minister, like, what do you do exactly?
Yeah.
You know, and because from lack of understanding, let me put it that way. I always say, if you think you know what's going on inside government, wait until you are inside. Then you can talk. There's a lot of things that I can mention.
So we are lucky here at TLL. We are going to get the inside scoop of what a deputy minister does.
Exactly.
And for the relevant industry
Yes.
that everybody is concerned about, which is the Department of Small Business Development.
Exactly.
So what do you do?
Yeah, you know, a deputy minister, you get what we call delegations from the minister. So apart from the fact that you are the minister's right hand, so wherever she can't be, she will then you will then go represent her. But you also get your own delegations. Like, for example, she has given me the cooperatives. For example, she has.
So you're the one who didn't invite us to Sunset. Guys, you know now. Do you know the secret why we didn't go to Sunset?
So
now we know.
That is my delegation delegated to me. So you actually have a full list of the things that you are responsible for.
That was a beautiful event. I was following it.
Thank you, because you must be held accountable for the outputs that is going to come out of what you're doing. And that is why, you know, you work just as hard, if not even harder. And I think from our side as well, wanting to also give the position of deputy minister a value, because I won't blame anyone who says anything. There's a lot of things that I criticized that I mean, I even thought I'm going to drive myself. And then I told them, one weekend we had a wedding at my home. Like my sister's daughter was getting married. I tell my protectors, I'll see you on Monday because I'm going home.
And they said no.
Exactly, because those are the things that I thought I just like, you know, no, I can choose.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, I can choose when you know, so a lot of things from outside, you know, because these are the kind of things that, you know, you will say when you are outside, you know, even just some models, like we've got what we call the district development model, that the ruling party uses it very, very much. And we criticize that model even to say, I mean, I stood up on platforms and told them that model is just another model that is just wanting to gain power in municipalities that doesn't belong to them, you know? So when you go back and look at the things that you said, that is why we often have to question ourselves and say, but this is still the case. And that is why we're still going to have speed humps in the GNU, because it's a GNU, it's not the policies of the ruling party that must rule. It must be the GNU policies. That is why if we feel the DDM model, it's not a model that is taking us forward. For us to participate in it is also betraying our own self. Yeah, and that is why, you know, there will always be this friction, because we really believe that some of the things they must accommodate other
But
ideas.
I love the friction. It's teaching us politics
exactly
nicely now. Now we're starting to understand politics nicely. You know, one gets to understand why the importance of having a strong opposition.
Exactly.
We're starting to understand it's now nicer for the younger generation. It's a pity. There's no work.
Exactly.
You know, there's a lot of unemployment, and you just mentioned your role dealing with cooperatives, and I would love us to unpack it further. You know, what are cooperatives about? Why the importance of cooperatives?
Yes, yeah. If we are doing this right now, actually, I'm really hoping that they are really going to take this, because a lot of people especially in South Africa, I think we overlooked cooperatives, not as a model for business or for small businesses. This is people that come together and do and form a cooperative. They can be 5, they can be 4, they can be young, they can be old, they can be, whatever that they are doing.
And I even heard they can be related.
Exactly. In fact, most cooperatives, most successful ones are family. Most successful ones, because as I say, me, I'm on the ground with cooperatives.
Yeah, because I've been telling my kids, they're smaller and things, and I'm saying, but guys, why can't we form a cooperative?
Exactly, and then you form a family cooperative.
And I also told some of our employees here, and I said, guys, but we can put our companies together and create a cooperative.
And form a cooperative.
But blacks don't like that.
Yeah, you know what?
And I'm saying blacks.
Yeah, and I also find that one of the reasons they don't succeed is conflict. Because in a cooperative, everyone must bring their part. So some just want the profits, they don't want to put in the work. Because remember, if we are a cooperative that is baking muffins, it means that, somebody must come and mix the dough, somebody must put it in the oven, someone must pack it.
Somebody must do sales.
Exactly. So
marketing.
Exactly. So if
the
we
books,
are 5,
admin.
Yeah, if we are 5 and when you've only worked 3 days in that month, even if it's a family cooperative, you see that it starts to create conflict. Because a cooperative means that you must produce something. Whether we are plowing, whether we are baking, whether we are sewing, whether our cooperative is like a studio like this, we own it, we are renting it out, we're making money. It can't always be one person here dealing with customers. So the one that I went to actually last week in Durban, in Nanda, is actually baking snowballs and stuff like that. It's a family cooperative. They are now 30 family members, and they've been successful for the last 12 years. Stories like this just makes me
and
say...
it's a black...
And it's a black, exactly, it's in Nanda, in right there.
Yeah, because when you said in Nanda, I thought maybe it might be Indians,
Yes, it's 100% black, it's a black family. They are all family, and they are moving. They are now supplying Pick and Pay with their... Wow. In fact, they've got a family recipe for the snowballs. No one has it, and that is why they've won the Pick and Pay, the snowball of the country. It's like those we call them red cakes.
Yes.
So and they are very, very successful. At some point, their turnover was 50 million rand per annum, and now and they even survived COVID. Like when you've moved and you've gone, and now they are 30. All related. So we can do it. But we, maybe as you say, as black people, sometimes I'm like...
Yes, because sometimes we must state things as they are, because, and I'm saying this because I've tried for years.
Yeah.
I've tried for years to find people, saying, okay, guys, let's just do a cooperative because we are failing to have... companies together, then fine, let's create a cooperative.
Yeah.
And how important it is to have a cooperative versus being individual companies.
Yeah, individual companies, often a person end up being the only one that employ themselves. Let's say like I'm a fishing industry business, maybe I get one person to help me, and they struggle to upscale. A cooperative, I find that cooperatives upscale. Not easy, but at least they've got that leverage, because even the funding that comes from our department is a grant. It's 100% grant that goes to the cooperatives up to 5 million rand.
What?
So what you have with cooperatives is really something that, I wish people can really take it to heart and realize that we can work together.
But we don't know about these things.
When I talk, now when they're going to listen to this podcast, they're going to know. When I talk, I always tell people that, guys, it is better to cooperate than to compete. In life, competition is
Let's repeat that. It's better to cooperate than to compete. I like that.
It is always better. You always produce better results.
I'm stealing that line from today. It's better to cooperate than to compete.
To compete, yeah. So, and when we work together, when we collaborate, believe me, we produce better results than when we do it alone. Most businesses that are there that often I speak to, there are successful businesses, of course, that are doing well, and they are in big cities and there. But someone that has got a salon, yes, they may end up employing 4 people or 2 people, but you find that it ends there. The salon never scale up. When it's a cooperative, because remember, a cooperative can be any business. Cooperative doesn't restrict you to, you must go to agriculture, or you must go to sewing clothes, or you must go to cooking and catering, or you must go. Cooperative doesn't restrict you, It doesn't. And also, when you have produced what you are producing as a cooperative, because there's more of you, like, with the...
you assist one another.
Yes, and then when they are 30, they are able to reach more clients. They deliver to all the total and engine garages in the whole of Durban. So they tend to grow more and more and more. And then you apply for asset assist from our department. Now your cooperative is growing. Let's say now you've got...
so the asset assist is still falling within DBSD?
Yes, yeah, it falls within
not DTIC?
Every department has got, even agriculture, they've got asset assist. So every department has got an element of that they're doing. DTIC, remember DTIC deals with businesses that have got a turnover 50 million and up.
Yes, remember, one of the reasons I'm saying that is because before these departments like DBSD, we used to go to DTIC. Some of us have applied, we failed many times, but then we need to educate those that are coming now, that the opportunities are still there.
Yes.
Doesn't mean because those that came before, people like us failed, then it means everybody fails.
Yeah, in 2014, then small business development was actually moved out of DTIC to be a ministry of its own, so that there's a focus on small businesses, because everything was under DTIC. So that is why it became a ministry, so that it can start to power the small businesses that we are saying they are the engines of our economy. So people will still access that. So it is focused on, indeed, the small businesses. As I say, in DTIC, you're going to find that also the applications and the businesses that they're dealing with is more like, big corporations and stuff.
Processes of application.
Process of application, of course, online. Those today's young generation, they can go online. Our website gives everything. But there's also offices in other areas, not all areas, because it needs to be manned. There must be staff there. So when you see a CEDA office or a CIFA office or a CETFA office, that's where you walk in and say, I've got this bright idea that I want to put into action.
So it's the department, but we apply through
the agency.
The agencies.
Yes, yeah. What happens is...
Didn't they fuse them together to form CETFA?
It's now CETFA.
Okay, but they're still branded
CETFA. Especially, I just saw the one in Polokwane still written CEDA, because remember, they only just matched.
Which two were matched?
CEDA, CIFA, and Cooperatives Development Bank. Because Cooperatives was also separate.
To form
funded
CETFA.
Separate. Yeah, so now it's three in one. Now they are one. That's where you apply. That's where you do everything. And the reason some prefer they walk in and speak to a business advisor is because they want to know exactly what do I need, and then they're going to tell you, okay, where are you? Like, are you running your business? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And then they start to guide you through the process. And then you are able to they put your business plan together, and then you apply. A lot of people go online, they put in their application, they submit the documents that they say they're needed, and then they go to CETFA. So as a department, or myself as the deputy minister or the minister, the applications don't come to us. We don't do evaluations and say yes or no. And CETFA, as an agency of the department, deals with that. They deal with the disbursements as well. So 80% of the department's budget goes to CETFA.
80%?
Yes. Because they're the ones that disperse the money to small businesses. They're the ones that do the evaluations, the assessment, the qualifying, the not qualifying. They're the ones that does everything. And then they disperse the funds. Like now, even if, like the minister announces the 500,000 rand for, the
Spaza one.
Yes, yeah. Then
we were there at the launch.
CETFA disperse it.
Yes.
Yeah, CETFA are the ones that will then disperse it. When you apply, you will then go through CETFA when you want to.
So tell me, if you are saying this Spaza Shop Fund is disbursed by CETFA, do cooperatives also still apply there, or that one is just for Spazas?
No, that amount is for Spazas.
Okay.
The rest, the money for the cooperatives and any other form of business, it's there. It's been there. Remember, this one is just a special fund that was established to deal with the crisis that we had as a country. So this one is separate. So doesn't affect the cooperatives, doesn't affect the other. Remember, you don't only apply as a cooperative. You can also apply as a startup, your own business. Or, you can apply to upscale your business. You can apply, there's a fund for people with disabilities that are running their own businesses. There's a fund for, there's a youth challenge fund, which is specifically targeted at young people. There's a she trade for targeted at women. So there's all sorts of funding that you can access.
What's the success rate of those that have gotten the funds before?
Yeah, in terms of...
And I'm asking this question because I look at how you fund. It's easy for people to access.
Yes.
But then monitoring and
impact,
evaluation.
yeah.
The impact. Because I sometimes wish there would be, or there could be a way that government would look at people that have sustained for a certain period and also try and give them something so that they go beyond.
Exactly.
Unlike giving newcomers all the time, but there's no returning that investment.
Yeah, or from previous, we pick up maybe some that we funded previously, but we pick them up because maybe they are coming to try maybe get an asset or upscale. But there is no methodology, there is no form of monitoring in terms of, like the department was established in 2014, and we don't have a way that is systematic, that is structured, that says to us where are the businesses that we funded in 2015, 2016, 2017.
That's what I would like to hear about.
And that is why it is actually good that we've got the government of national unity, because those are the kind of things that now we are bringing. You would have also seen that we have established the office of the small business ombuds, because also people say, as a small business, I've done work with the municipality, but they haven't paid me. What must I do? Things
Wait
like
a minute. So you've got an ombuds, yes, for small businesses.
Yes, yeah.
Please tell us about it.
That office is established.
We go through a lot as small businesses.
Yeah, okay. The physical person is not there yet, but it is at a point where the physical person must be appointed, because remember, it had to be law first. So we then had the Small Business Amendment Act, and then it became law that now by law we must have the office of the Small Business Ombuds. So we went through that whole process, and now...
so you are establishing it?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow, that's going to help.
Because of the cry from the ground. That is why I'm saying, when you meet small businesses where they are, then you understand their struggles, because they don't have the legal muscle to fight government departments. Not only that, even private sector do give them dirty deals sometimes, and a small business doesn't have.
But why did it take so long? Because honestly speaking, sometimes, that either destroys or helps businesses.
Yeah.
Because the treatment that small businesses get, unfortunately, from the very same government.
Yes. Yeah, and that is why I'm counting municipalities and provincial governments. You know what? I think at this stage, it is unfair of me to sit here and say why it took so long, because then it means I must also ask the same question. I always say, I'm not saying let's forget what happened. I always say where to from here, because it is needed, and we are there. It was a cry from you. We have responded, and we are responding to many more cries, because when things have been said, and I think South Africans indeed came to a point where they felt like their government is not responsive, because they say the same things, and then government comes back again, and like when we have a presidential imbizo or taking government to the people, we get there in a big tent, people complain, and we go, and then what happened? So I think I always say to them, yes, it's always good to look back, but let's look forward with what can we do from here? Because going back and pointing fingers and blaming why it took so long, it's not going to take us anywhere. Yeah. Let's say what is needed now and where to from here, and which is where we are. Every time we look at where to from here, because we've got small businesses that are drowning in legal battles. They don't have the money. They don't have the capacity. We've got small businesses that are expected to respond the way big corporations respond, that are expected to fill UIF forms, that are expected to produce the 12-month tax certificate before you could even get funded, that are expected to, and we have fought very, very, a bitter fight to say small business must be excluded from bargaining councils, including minimum wages. And this is not to say that you can now abuse your workers, but even government is unable to pay minimum wages. The EPW workers are not earning minimum wages. So if I can employ 5 people at 3,000 rand, and they would have been unemployed, and you're telling me that no, I must go to the minimum wage, how many am I going to employ?
But then, dear, I'm sitting here, I'm talking to you. I always think I'm one of the smart people, but then you have diminished that to a point where I feel like I'm the most stupidest person, because all these things that you're saying, I'm sitting and I'm thinking, wow, so there's such a lot of things that the government is doing, but we don't get to know about.
Yes.
You wish there could be
a campaign of some sort.
I was about to say that will, impart this knowledge so that people get to experience what I'm experiencing.
Exactly. When I spoke about people not knowing about our services, the answer that I got was that if we go on a campaign, then we are not going to be able to cope, because we only have a certain budget.
Yes.
Yeah. So that, because these things also do cross your mind.
Right.
That how come everywhere I go, I ask people, do you know about CIDA? Do you know about CIFA? Do you know about CETFA? Do you know about? And people are like, what is that?
Digital media. They need to understand digital media.
Exactly.
That's why we are doing this podcast. That's why we are on social media as musicians, as footballers, everybody.
Then when the demand comes, then as government only, we are unable to cope with that demand, because then we've campaigned and say, come all of you, and then a budget is only announced that is limited. And now that we are also strictly putting stringent measures on spending, because it's not only that government doesn't have money, the government spending has been out of control, and we all know that. And when we put those brakes on, it also affects what we can disperse and what we can, how far we can go. So those are the kind of things that then you begin to understand that, okay, let's go with it the way we're going with it. Those that stand up, because also someone gets this information, but they don't act. They're like, they will call me like, hey, Ma'am Jane, I saw you on the podcast. I also have a business, but I'm saying, after I said, go to this Department of Small Business website. What I like about digital is also like, you just go to government. You just South African government, then you see all the departments. There's a small business, you click there, you get there, you're going to find Buset for there. But okay, mina yami business, nina saluni and lapa nyenza inwele, but angina equipment, I can't do anything, I don't have anything. Kuna assets systems. I can even just apply for assets for a value of 5,000 rand, so that they help me kickstart my business.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say you apply. The proposal looks amazing. How do you then choose who's going to succeed and who won't succeed? Do you visit the applicants' places to double check those things, or we just apply, and if the application is good, you get funded?
Okay, like I said, I'm not part of the evaluation.
Okay.
So we don't want political meddling. Okay. So it is like a completely set for...
So they have to come explain themselves. We need to invite them separately.
What they do in other instances, like the business that we went to this morning, actually the business advisor from CETFA went there to see, to understand what they're doing. So when you apply, it lands with CETFA. It doesn't even come to me. I won't even see it.
So we can put you on the spot to get you to bring somebody to explain to us.
From CETFA?
Yes.
Yeah, someone from CETFA can always do that. That we can do.
Okay,
that we can do, definitely.
Yes.
That we can do. And when the application comes, it lands, it then goes there. I don't even know who has applied and who hasn't. I don't even know who has been approved and who hasn't been approved, because, separating the two processes that, is dealt with.
And talking about that takes me back to your role in the DA. You are a provincial leader, and there's a provincial chairperson.
Yes.
How does that work?
Because
you just mentioned something that you are a political head, you can't meddle with certain things.
Administration,
it reminded me of provincial leader versus provincial chairperson.
Yes.
What's the difference?
Actually, with us, it is very, very clear, because it has always been like that. The provincial chairperson is responsible for the admin. Yes, like
you are the political.
Yes, I'm the political leg or the political figure. So when a councillor is misbehaving, they'll call me. When a staff member is misbehaving, they'll call the provincial chairperson.
So would you, if you were to put it in government manner, would you say one is just a political chairperson, one is a premier, kind of?
Yeah, because in our case,
because the one deals with admin, the other
Yeah.
one is just a politician
Yeah.
or a DG and a minister.
Yeah, no, I do not know if it will go to that extent, but with us is like John as the leader. They say often people don't even know the chairperson of our party. They think it's Helen, but Helen is got the another leg. So we've got Ivan Meyer, who is the federal chairperson of the party. So with us, the leader is above. No, if there's rank, is the leader and then the chairperson. Because I know even in our province...
You've been a chairperson before,
I've been
right?
a chairperson
Yes.
before, yes, yeah. So
you were dealing with admin?
I was dealing with a lot of admin.
Or would you say it's what others call an SG?
Yeah, I think
It's a
exactly.
secretary.
Yeah, I think that you got it. Yeah, I think that you got it. Yeah,
Okay, now I understand.
Exactly. Yeah,
All right.
I think that you compared it. Yes, yeah. Because when not only that because remember they must also still do political activities, but we've got a very strong administration leg as we believe very much in separating this, so we've got a whole office that is functioning in Mpumalanga of the DA, and they are dealing with party matters, campaigns, and, we are very, very organized, and technology and everything that comes. We've got a provincial director of the party in every province, and then we've got a CEO of the party. On the admin side. And that is why you won't know, because it's the admin leg, very, very strong admin leg. We've got a chief executive officer, we've got a chief financial officer, we've got, and then they say chairperson of finance, we say politician. But the finance, the chairperson of, the chief financial officer of our party is an administrator, is a chartered accountant, is a qualified, so we've got a professional, we call them professional staff. So I've got a provincial director in the province that runs the administration of the party.
And then you just go meet people and then...
Yeah, so if we need resources, I'm like, it looks like we're going to need another baggy, because now, we must travel into those Mpumalanga ups and downs. She's the one that will do the motivation, submit to the chief executive officer, and
How difficult it is to be in government and still have to do your role for the political party?
Yeah, look,
because you haven't relinquished
yeah.
everything, right? You're still there. You're still a head in Mpumalanga.
Exactly.
But
you are also the deputy minister. Yeah, so it is a lot of work, but you get accustomed to doing a lot of work, and it becomes a lot of work, but it becomes a lot of work that we can cope with. And that is where I also began to understand why certain things that we criticized are actually necessary. Because I'm telling you, doing this job, even if I'm not the provincial leader, doing this job, I think driving yourself, you'll crash within 3 days, which is something that from outside...
And you never
understood it. You never, no, in fact, we used to say, like, you are now drunk from the blue lights. We used to tell them. So now, that is why I'm saying that I'm not going to be running away from saying we did say that, because we were not aware.
You didn't understand.
Because, when you are talking from opposition, yes, it's fine. You poke holes and you put things on the table, but you actually don't comprehend what's going on inside. Actually it's impossible to even think you can, because most of the time, you arrive with the last flight at Wartambo, it's already past 12, you must wake up tomorrow morning 5 o'clock to be at another, so... And
you're expected to be there.
And you're expected to be there.
Because you made a promise.
Exactly, yeah. Like now, I've been trying to negotiate with KFM because I must be there at 8 tonight. I've been trying to negotiate with them to say, guys, can't we just move the time? It's like, you have to...
So we are lucky you made it on time to a podcast.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that is why, you must give yourself form. For me, I always said, the one thing that I tell myself every day is, I don't want to change.
Yes.
I'm consciously keeping my life the way it used to be. I don't want, with my family, with people around me, with my friends, I'm keeping it the way it used to be, because I don't want to lose my way home, So, and that thing helps me a lot. It helps me a lot to say, when people ask if I have to say no to you, it really has to be for a good reason. I don't just dismiss people. Like, really, people will tell you to access ministers and deputy ministers is like you're climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. So they're actually shocked with the way we respond,
What's a normal day for you?
Because they send me, if there's any normal day, I don't know, because even Sundays, there's no weekends, and we don't get, Parliament get what they call recess. There's time where they must go back to their constituencies. That time was meant that they go give feedback to their constituencies. So we don't get that. For me to go to take a day's leave or to go and leave, I must ask the president. And if he says no, as we have seen one of our deputy ministers being dismissed because he went where the president did not approve. So everything that we do, the president must approve. So we don't get, we don't get a normal day, So your normal day is like waking, it's like you don't know whether you're waking up or you're sleeping, or you don't know where you are or where you are not. I can't even explain it. And then when we are in cabinet committee meetings, it's worse because they take your phone. And then you can't, for me, I feel like it's like you lose a whole day because usually you can respond to an email while you're in a meeting, or you can respond to a WhatsApp. Now phones are not allowed. You leave it at the door, and now the whole day you're like, hey, it's like, okay, let's go.
You see, you spoke about developing your skills as a politician from 1999 till today, which is 25 years.
Yes.
And you are issuing out monies to businesses. Do you ever look at the experience of those businesses? And the other question I wanted to ask you also is there any program that you have for upskilling businesses, small businesses?
Yes, the program is there, but let me tell you about getting to those businesses, which I keep on emphasizing why we must be on the ground. Because without us getting to those businesses that we have funded, how do we know if they are surviving? How do we know if they've upscaled? How do you know if they've died? And that is why I said at the moment there is no measure that we can say this is a credible measure that we are using. But there is programs that you upscale, because remember, that is why we call others startups. That is like you are right at the beginning. And then there's those that are running. Even some have been running for a very long time, and then they want to upscale. And they also apply for that funding where they are upscaling. Some, to upscale, they need, let's say like you've been baking fat cakes, amagwing, now, or muffins. Now you want to upscale. Now you need an industrial oven, because now you've been mixing and putting in that oven. You sell and then you come back. Now you're like, no, you know what? Actually, they get finished so fast that I need to do more. Which means that I need an industrial mixer to put my ingredients there, and I need an industrial oven that is as big as that board. Now that
are
is
your
upscaling.
application windows always open, or do you close and?
Yes, for
they've got windows.
Yes, the Asset Assist particularly has got windows, but the other applications you can apply anytime.
Like for cooperatives? Yeah,
you can apply anytime. There's no window. You can apply anytime. You register a cooperative, you get your business in order, what you're doing, what you're intending to do, how many are you, and you register, you meet the legal requirements, and we also help you with compliance where you don't comply. That is why the SETFA will have a business advisor, because then there's also issues of compliance. Yeah, but to upscale, a lot of people, they need assistance. Some are just like, I've got all my products here, but I can't afford a baki at the moment.
How are the roles divided between yours and the minister?
The minister decides. In terms of your exact cooperatives, delegations, yes. The minister decides. She looks at the whole department and she says this and this and this and this I give to the DM. Each minister does that.
What if the minister takes more than they can chew?
It can happen. I think even as a deputy minister, I've got a lot, so I don't know if look, I'm sure everybody knows.
I'm just trying to understand the processes of disputing the minister.
No, you can negotiate, but remember the minister is the executive authority in the department. She's the accountable authority.
So you do something wrong,
yes,
she still gets blamed.
Absolutely. So the minister takes the responsibility, because
so you're lucky, because you always wanted to be opposition kind of.
She makes all the decisions. Also, she makes all the decisions. She's got the power and the authority, and the deputy. That is why she's able to look at the whole department and say, the deputy minister, I'm giving you this and this and this and that, and then she puts it on paper, and then we have an agreement and we sign. So that is how it works. So she decides what she gives you. So you can't say, I wanted cooperatives and you didn't give it to me. And if she wants to keep it, she keeps it, because it's her decision, her authority. She's got the prerogative to do that.
2 female leaders, one place. How tough is that?
Look, we don't work with the same office every day. We don't work in the same events every day. So we are just in the department together. But we hardly, I think we were together at the cooperatives, but like today she's having an event with them, Pakistan. Exactly.
Yes, and
Afghanistan. Exactly. So we are... We're not, it's not like we're like this every day, where every day we're negotiating, or every day we're talking, or every day, you know, yeah. So I think it works very well because we meet when it's necessary, and we're out there doing what needs to be done, and she's responsible for the whole department. Most of the time, she's also making sure that the department is moving.
If you were to be removed from small business, where would you want to go to?
Look, I don't want to go to a department that is of service delivery. Like I know small business is also service delivery, but as in service delivery that touches the heart of South Africans, you know, something like the way, if you look at the ground, the way things are with the hopelessness, because all those people that I meet in rural areas, in townships, in suburbs, they're not all going to run their own small businesses, you know, so you feel like you can touch them in another way or form. But of course, my mandate is limited at the moment. So I love service delivery things because they take me back to the people. They put me into the activist mode.
What are your main priorities in the small business one at the moment?
For us at the moment is to create, we say we ignite the spirit of entrepreneurship, so we must create more small businesses. It says the NDP coming to our then APP says by 2030, small businesses must have created 9 million jobs. So we make sure that we play a role there. We are reviewing the laws that we've identified that we call red tape. You know, what we did in the 7th administration, we said, what are the laws that are standing in the way of small businesses? We're going around, small businesses are saying, you know, the municipality is charging me 6,000 rand for a license to operate, but just for me to buy my stock is like 2,000 rand. Where am I going to get, you know, so, and we have now reviewed that whole business licensing bill, and also so that we standardize it throughout the country. So the issue of red tape is, why is it at the top of the agenda? Because it is the one that's holding a lot of people back. You know, a small thing like people not getting paid, having to go hoops and hoops before something before you can even get to the right person. You know, you've been sent to a whole cycle of people. People want to start, they requested 100 documents before they could even try to start. So we're dealing with that systematically, and we've passed now several bills that will become law. As I said, number one was the small amendment bill, where we are establishing, you know, offices of the ombuds. We're doing this, we're doing that. So that is the priority number one, is to deal with the issue of red tape. And access to funding, as much as we are focused on it, to say, let's inform more people, let's educate more people, let's get more businesses. It is something that it is a priority, yes, but it will be limited to the funding that is available. You know, so because access to funding, access to markets, because people have got products that they don't know where to sell it. So we come into your business, Zetfa comes into your business and help you with accessing a market like Pick n Pay or Woolworths, or if it's international, we've got cooperatives particularly that are already exporting their products. We've got I was just in Colombia the other day, where we had a lot of South Africans there who are particularly wine from South Africa, you know, and it was a black woman-owned wine, and so that is where we help them with access to markets so that they can get their products and also upscale, because the minute they start to make that profit and it goes out, then they start to upscale. So, yeah.
You spoke about touching people on the ground, and I feel like you're talking about nice things, but one can sit here and say, but there's no synergy between the municipalities and national government, because you are talking about these things that are beautiful, but trust me, the red tape starts from the municipalities.
Exactly.
I mean,
and that is
how
why
are you going to achieve what you want to achieve? Let's say you are in this GNU for 3 years,
yes,
but then it still takes a person 3 years just to apply for a business license, for
us,
example.
believe me, if we're in this journey for 3 years, for 5 years, we are going to be able to point out where we have made an impact. Like now, particularly in the department, we've identified 100 municipalities that we are going to help to digitize. Because when we're going to register, they still have a spreadsheet. with a pile of. So we will be able to point to say, there, we have eased it. And this 100 municipalities is just for this financial year. It's not for the whole of until we finish the GNU. So these are the kind of things that people are crying out for. There is no synergy between different levels of government at the moment in every way and in every form.
There isn't.
Yes, not only for small business. And that is why even the business licensing bill, which will become law when the president has ascended it to law. But
what does it say?
It says all municipalities, when it comes to giving a license to a business to operate, they will follow the same procedure, the same process, the same.
Yes.
So this municipality won't charge, like at the moment, this one will charge you 500. This one says, no, we're giving you business license for free. And this one is saying, no, we're charging you 5,000. So those are the kind of things that I'm telling you at the end of the year. I'm actually going to be able to make a list at the whenever the GNU is ending, that this is where we've made an impact in terms of bringing that synergy, because it's not going to be overnight. That is why our municipalities are, I come from Mpumalanga, and I can tell you, in Mpumalanga, every municipality is technically bankrupt because the checks and balances from above are not there. They see themselves as an entity on their own. And then you come to provincial governments. And that is why we can do whatever we want. And then the provincial government doesn't pay this guy that has done work. And that is why we say from our side, we will deal with you when a provincial government. So I'm telling you, we would have made a difference. And
yes.
I'm going to be able to sit here and say, this was not there. When he said this was not there. And all these things.
Okay, so you're already
all these things that we are bringing are the things that are making it easier for small businesses. It's not things that we just.
But would you say it's a coincidence that a black person applies for a same business as a white person, but white people always get approved quicker?
Yeah, okay. In fact, in the Department of Small Business Development, there's a criteria for that because they are focused on black people.
No, but I'm talking in terms of a business license, for example, in a municipality.
Okay. Yeah.
In a municipality,
yeah.
Why is the success rate of whites more than black businesses?
Yes.
And if you are saying
I think the history,
to reduce unemployment, we need to create more entrepreneurship, because most of us have been talking about this for a very long time.
Yeah.
We even wonder why did it take government so long, but still the success rate of applying for business licenses
or getting approved for business license. Yeah, I'm gonna talk something.
Is it a coincidence?
I'm thinking I'm gonna talk something that comes to my mind because it's not. I'm not at the municipality. So I don't have any background why, but most black people do not have collateral. I don't even have data that says white people are getting approved more. If I've got that, then I will say, what is the issue here? Because
looking at the ratio.
Remember, at the moment we don't have access to municipalities in that way. Actually, they don't report to us. One of the funniest things, as you say, there's no coordination, is that even the MEC for Education doesn't report to the Minister of Education, reports to the Premier. So that is what So there is this, and then the MEC for Education must answer for the MEC for Education in the province. And the MEC for Education is, well, I don't report to you. Because it's like, the MEC, the Minister for Education is like, why do you have so many vacancies? Why are you not filling them? And they're like, but I report to the Premier. So we've got no authority at all in the municipality, nothing. We can only pass a law that will force them to do things that if they don't do, we can then punish them. That's what we can do. But that, I think, in fact, I was thinking that maybe you're talking about the general financial institutions.
No.
Because what
that one I wouldn't know. I'm just concerned about.
What has come up with that is that most of the time, black people, most of them, particularly in the township and rural areas, because I deal with what we call TREP, our township and rural areas. They don't have places to operate their businesses, number one.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. When I said the municipalities are not giving them licenses fast enough. Yes, I wasn't talking about the applications because remember, sometimes you don't even need a grant.
Yeah.
Once you have the license,
you can start.
Yeah. But the issue that I'm concerned about, in any case, white people wouldn't even apply for grants because they know they are pro-black. They'll go to the banks to get the funding.
So when you look at the makeup of our townships and rural areas, even in semi-suburbs, they're placed to operate their business, number one. And number two, the reason they don't get the license is because they must rezone the area. Let's say like I've been running Indeed as Spaza Shop from the back room. And then now you must rezone that whole stand as a business stand.
Why must it take 3 years?
No, that is exactly what we are dealing with. Now you can go and ask the municipality, or that is what I'm saying now.
A municipality where people haven't been in offices for months and months.
Exactly.
They're working from home, and every time you ask about your application.
Exactly. If you want us to talk about that, we can, but I prefer not, because we know exactly what happened. When power goes unchecked, people end up not coming to work. People end up doing what they want. You know, the police are turning into something else, and everything turns into something else. And that is exactly...
no, we must run away from that.
Exactly what we have just mentioned is exactly where the country is, from where we come from, where people don't even care. They will send that person 10 times to go do something.
Yes, because we're saying we want to create employment through entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
But it's not supported.
Exactly. And in
so
our
there's some
municipalities,
sabotage somewhere.
You know what? Actually, this I have said, and I will say it here because I've said it in my last debate in the NCOP. I said red tape is government-engineered sabotage. You've covered me. So I'm not going to run away from it, but I don't want to discuss the past as if I want to blame someone. But where we are is because of those laws that have brought us here. And that is why one of the things that I have mentioned was that we cannot be in a GNU and continue to implement laws of one party. Allow the voices that you have brought in. You've brought in other voices. Allow them a space to say, can we do it this way, or can we do it better? Because what we have got now is it's a result of the laws that doesn't hold people accountable when they don't pitch up for work. It's laws that doesn't measure people's performance, because a person doesn't even have to account how many licenses did you issue, how many people did you help, how many businesses did you help since you came to work, you know. So it is a culture that has been established, and I always say, where to from here? Yes, we know what is wrong. That is why I'm saying we know what is wrong. And that is why we're saying we're not participating in a dialogue, national dialogue, because we can't go talk when we know what is wrong. Let's take that money, put it where it's wrong, and fix.
How much is the budget for the national dialogue?
They said it's 750 million. So, yeah, but you know.
Is it approved?
As things, you know, it's not, it hasn't gone through, but I don't sit in the finance committee. Yes. Everything goes through the portfolio of finances. So, at the end of the day...
So we're having a national dialogue without one big partner of the GNU involved.
Yeah, we are not going to participate in that. We really feel time for dialogues are over. As you are saying, everything that I've said, since I've sat here, why did it take so long? Why did it take so long? Because you know where the problems are. We know, even if you and I can stand in front of that national dialogue today, we can tell them...
We'll still repeat the same things that we said 10 years ago. And we can tell them what needs to be done. South Africans, you can take a South African from the street and tell them what needs to be done. Where you are, they can tell you. You know, so to go sit and talk again so that we can fly around and meet each other and talk. We feel like, you know, time for commissions and talks and things like that. Yes, some may be necessary, but this one is not. This is one of those where I really don't know that we can't read the mood in the country. People are desperate. People want action. People want action from their government. They are tired of our speeches. Is the DA constituency happy that you are not part of the national dialogue?
Yeah, look, when we did, we'll have to do proper polling because we always need to talk from evidence. But yeah, but the snapshot one said it's the time for talk is over, because we've got snapshot the day that we decided. And then when we want to do the deeper one, if it's a serious issue, then we do a deeper one. So we did a snapshot one, and you know, majority of South Africans said, the time for talk is over. And when they also look at the costs, it's like, what exactly are you going to talk about? You know,
it's like almost R1 billion.
It's like almost R1 billion. What can't we do something better than sit and talk? Which they feel is what politicians have been doing.
How many days is that going to take?
Look, it looks like it's going to meet over and over. It's not going to be a one-day talk shop. Yeah, so it's like you know, it's going to be some an ongoing thing. You know,
you call it a talk shop.
Yeah, like you know, what can I say? What did I say?
Any successes of the GNU?
Look, the GNU in general, I think, did change the mood in the country. We saw more South Africans being positive. We saw hope where it was lost.
But they say the country only needs Kaizer Chiefs to win so that the mood changes. So.
Yeah, you can say that because I'm a Kaizer Chiefs fan, so I won't complain. I feel like, you know, when Kaizer Chiefs win, we are all happy.
So the GNU is like...
The GNU is like that, yeah. So, and in terms of what I saw is that there is healthy competition amongst ministers. Some ministers that we never saw on the ground, now we see them because government was more reacting. When they say, oh, there's fire there, then government go in and say, oh yeah, sorry.
So it's the proactiveness now.
Now there is, now we see that there is healthy competition because now ministers are out there actually with the people doing.
You can actually see your counterpart doing something.
Exactly, you can actually see people doing something.
And the failures?
And I think the failures is really failing to establish a dispute resolution mechanism within the GNU that is effective. Every disagreement becomes a media frenzy.
Oh yes, we see these things in the media.
Yeah.
Then today, Mbalula will say this, and the next morning,
it's because
Helen will say this.
I feel like it's a failure of the GNU to establish a proper dispute resolution mechanism that says, yes, you say this cup is white. It used to be white maybe for the last 30 years, but now it's actually got a bit of color. And how do we then, in your house, how do you allow So, and if we can establish an effective dispute resolution mechanism, then not everything need to be a media frenzy. But now, the minute we don't agree, there's nowhere to go. There's no dispute mechanism. There's no, we start to talk past one another. And I think that is the biggest failure. It might even be the biggest, if it continues, it will be, because sometimes it does discourage South Africans. So if we don't establish a proper dispute resolution mechanism, I'm not saying it will be the downfall of the GNU, but it is really uncomfortable because there must be a mechanism that must be established and that works.
Maybe that will be discussed at the National Dialogue.
Yeah, but the people at the National Dialogue were elected by nobody. Yeah, that is why South Africans feel like we've given you a mandate on the 24th of July 2024. We've already decided on the National Dialogue, which is the GNU. All of you in there, because we as South Africans went out and said, here is your mandate. We don't want any 50% anyone. So take heed from that and make sure that you implement. Don't go call people that we don't know where you get them, on what capacity. They are not elected by nobody. They represent nobody. They represent no constituency. And you say now they must come and talk about our problems.
Not being part of the National Dialogue, won't it make you guys look like you are just arrogant brats?
No, you know what? Actually, now that the Thabo Mbeki Foundation has pulled out, the FW de Klerk Foundation has pulled out, the Helen Suzman Foundation has pulled out. Now,
how many foundations? 30? Or was it more than 10?
Yeah, who is arrogant now? Now people see it's not because we're arrogant. You know what I like about my party is that when we stand on something, we stand on principle. And we always say, when everything fails, stand on principle. Even now we said we are in the GNU to make South Africa work, and we will do our best while we are in there. But at no point we're going to stay at all cost. If we feel like our presence in there is harming South Africa, all of us coaches each other every day. We all say to each other, don't go buy a new house, don't go buy a new car. Let's do the work. So that if time comes where we feel like our presence is really not good for South Africa in the GNU and we decide to step back, you mustn't find yourself in a situation where you've complicated your own life. And that is why we remain humble and on the ground, and we remind each other every day, when everything fails, fall back to the principle.
Yeah, DM, me and you can talk. I feel like we can talk for the next hour. And, I just want to have fun questions now, but before we do that, maybe you'll send the last messages after these fun questions. But you need to answer them quickly.
Okay.
Because these are going to be funny.
Okay.
Morning coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bed, or are you a night owl?
Night owl.
How?
Definitely.
One South African dish you can't live without?
You know what? I love mohodu.
Why did I think mohodu then?
Yeah, because I grew up in that mohodu. I couldn't even slaughter a cow.
One way or the other, I thought she's going to say mohodu and I'm worried. Your go-to comfort food after a long day?
I actually love pap and mohodu. I really love, from Limpopo, pap and mohodu is like,
still.
I stop everywhere I see it.
Your last book, the last book you read or TV show you watched? I know you are busy, but maybe I can tell you I watch soccer matches. That's all I watch.
Oh, that's a difficult one because when you're always working there, I'm telling you, it's so difficult to even stop.
So you don't even watch movies anymore?
Yeah, you don't even watch movies anymore. You don't stop. Yeah.
Shame, sorry.
Yeah.
Dream travel destination you haven't been yet to?
Oh, I haven't been to Mauritius.
You'd love to go to Mauritius?
I'd love to.
4 hours.
Hopefully you'll take me.
Just 4 hours.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, no.
I'll wait for the invitation.
No, I'll tell the DA to make a plan.
Yes.
The first job you ever had?
Yeah, I worked at a company that was making bags to put a mill disaka jabupi, but we were knitting them at that time. If you remember, mill used to be in a plastic bag that the machine was knitting it. It was back home in Limpopo, and I went to work at this company. That was like when I was still in matric, and we were knitting those bags. That machine was going like that, and I worked there for quite a while.
But it was fun because you were getting paid.
It was, yes, we were getting paid, yeah, and the machine will knit that bag so nicely. I enjoyed that job. I forgot the name of the company though, but it was my first job. Yeah, I was still in high school. Yeah.
A small business you personally love to support?
I love to support all small businesses. I don't. Yeah, you can ask my team. When we work, if they don't take my bag, I take everywhere I stop. I buy. I support all of them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
If you are not in politics, what career would you be in today?
I will be a teacher.
Oh, yeah, but I can believe that one. Yes.
Yes.
One word your friends would use to describe you?
Sure. Hyperactive.
Anyway, no man. I like that.
Yeah.
A hobby or talent no one expects from you?
What is that?
A hobby or talent no one expects from you?
I can cook. I can dance, yeah, but more I can cook. I think they don't think that I can actually put a meal on the table. Every time I say I want
to like that. Somebody said dance.
Yeah, because
maybe you are worried we're going to put you on the spot. Don't worry, we're not going to say dance. With
politics, you have to dance. I think that's what they see. Because when we get into the mood, of course we dance.
Because cooking is expected of you.
Yeah, but not that I can put, I can really go in there. I can really put a proper...
No, I'll take the dance one. The other one we don't want.
I can dance.
Most inspiring person you've ever met?
Yeah, for me, my most inspiring person will always be my mother. I think growing up in a rural area, there's a lot that I can say about my mother until sunrise. And I really think what she instilled in me is what you're seeing today.
I don't want to say anything anymore. I was left with 2 more others. But I'm thinking I'm not even going to go there. Once you mentioned your mother, it's like case closed.
Yeah.
Any message to all the businesses out there before we close?
Believe in yourself and your product and your business. When you stand strong and you're selling something or you're marketing something or you're saying, here, I've got something, don't go in like, I don't know, because the client can see that even yourself, you're not sure of your product and they're more likely not to support you. But that confidence of knowing what you're doing, even if now it only makes sense to you. There are certain things that only make sense to you at a particular time, but keep on pushing. When we say, you are the trailblazers, the ones that doesn't sleep, because we know, running your own business is not a child's play. Stick it wherever. The problems will always be there, challenges are there. A speed hump is not a stop, it's a speed hump. Slow down, speed hump, not a stop. And you will see that in a few years to come, you're going to be telling a different story. So in summary, it's a don't give up and believe in your product. But I really, really want them to believe in what they've invented. I want them to believe in their product, and I want them to believe in their own businesses before they can convince their clients.
Wow. Deputy Minister Jane Sithole, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.